Could the Bulls be trading away Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic? Probably not. But coming up on today's show, we're going to be looking at 5 trades the Bulls can make at next year's NBA trade deadline. 3 of these trades are the Bulls trading away some of their guys. Then I actually have 2 guys that the Bulls could be trading for if maybe they want to go all in and maybe the Bulls are winning some games next year and they want to kind of add more juice to this roster. So I'm going to be going over 5 moves that I think the Bulls can make on today's show. But before we get into that, guys, we got a sub battle in the month of August right now against our Heat Report channel here in Chat Sports, and then also our Knicks Now channel here at Chat Sports. And we are right now in last out of these 3. This is my man Rolly. This is my man Marsh. They run those respective channels. So help me out. Help us kind of gain some momentum heading into the season and show the Bulls show the Bulls Nation kind of how loud you guys can be. So hit that subscribe button right now and lock us in. But let's talk about it. Let's dive into 5 trades that I think the Bulls can make. And I do think the number one move that could be heading Chicago's way, and I hope it doesn't go this way, but it would be trading away Zach LaVine. And, let's just say the Bulls are at that trade deadline next year, and maybe they're around 500 or a couple games below 500, and clearly this is just not working. I think the number one move they got to consider is trading away number 8. Now, 5 teams that I think could be calling the Chicago Bulls phone at next year's NBA trade deadline. I think the New York Knicks are number 1 on this list for me. Like, we've heard the rumors all off-season long that the Knicks are interested in Zach LaVine, and then the thing came out about how CAA doesn't want to get involved with or Clutch Sports doesn't want to get involved with the New York Knicks because of the CAA Clutch Sports beef. I don't really think that's has too much truth to it. I mean, maybe LaVine's camp would have wanted him to go to New York, but I think LaVine personally would be open to a trade. Then maybe the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, they do have 2 great scoring guards already in Luka and Kyrie, but we know Mark Cuban, maybe he wants to be aggressive with kind of Luka's timeline right now and get a guy like LaVine. We know Philly, right now there's no real update on the James Harden situation, but maybe they're saying like, hey, let's go find, Joel Embiid's Jamal Murray. That, how Jamal Murray is for Nikola Jokic. Let's go bring in a guy like LaVine, pair him up with Embiid, and damn, Philly could be a hell of a basketball team if they did that. Then this is one to keep your eyes out on. The Sacramento Kings. We've heard the report, I think it was about 4 months ago now, like really at the end of last NBA season, that the Kings tried to call the Bulls about Zach LaVine at last year's NBA trade deadline. Well, what if the Kings are good again and what the Bulls are trending in a not so good direction? Maybe they could call them as well. Then obviously the Lakers. The Lakers are always trying to be aggressive. Mr. Rob Pelinka could be hitting up the Bulls GM and saying, hey, let's bring Zach LaVine to LA, and they're going to get a heck of a player if they bring in Zach LaVine. Like, I have been saying this for a while. Just offensively and just LaVine's overall game, I just think he's underrated. And, I say this a lot in the NBA. Your eyes don't lie to you. Like, when you watch Zach LaVine play, he is one of the better players in the NBA. He's a tremendous offensive talent, 3-level scorer. I think he's an underrated defender when he really wants to lock into that side of the floor, and the numbers don't lie. The efficiency's there, and the scoring production is there there as well for Zach LaVine. So I don't know. I mean, I think LaVine, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but who knows? Maybe the Bulls could be looking to ship LaVine if they, maybe they're not in playoff contention. But I'll ask you guys, do you think the Bulls will make the playoffs next season? I actually think the Bulls are going to be a lot better than most people think going into next year. But I'll ask you, do you think the Bulls will make the playoffs next season? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comment section. Number 2, this is a trade I have where the Bulls would be going all in and kind of shoving all their chips to the center of the table and going out and getting a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic. This is a guy I've been a fan of throughout his NBA career. He is the true definition of just a professional bucket getter in the NBA. I mean, these scoring numbers are frankly ridiculous, and it's the efficiency that stands out for me. I mean, averaging damn near 20 a game over the last 4 years and on ridiculous efficiency from downtown. Look at those 3-point numbers and look at those 3-point attempts per game. Anytime you're shooting damn near 40% on over 6 attempts a game over the last 4 seasons, he's the true definition of a professional scorer in the NBA. And that's what I think. The Bulls still need shooters. Like, I like what they've done this offseason. Torrey Craig and Jevon Carter both shot above 40% from deep last season, but they're not really high-volume guys. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's the definition of a high-volume shooter, but he's also incredibly efficient at the same time. You'd also add another kind of another kind of feel off the bench, another way the Bulls could score the basketball, having that kind of true stretch four type of build. He's a guy you could also just throw him the ball. Got a little bit of a sneaky ISO game as well in Bogdan's game. But, something to keep your eyes out on. Maybe a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic, a shooter the Bulls could trade for. But another shooter that the Bulls could possibly trade for, Buddy Hield. He's with the Indiana Pacers right now. The Pacers had a hell of a draft, so, who knows? Maybe the Pacers season isn't going the way they want it to. Maybe they could be saying, we'll take a first-round pick or we'll take whatever we can get for a guy like Buddy Hield. And again, with him, man, it's shooting. Buddy Hield, first off, I love his game as well. I just love how fluid he is on the offensive side of the floor. But he is just a pure bucket getter. Again, sitting around that 15, 19 points a game, incredible efficiency as well. This past season, honestly, probably I think it's his best year overall, even though he didn't match his 2019 season with almost 20 a game, but averaging 17 a game on 45% from the deck and 42.5% from three. That's an incredible accomplishment for a man, Buddy Hield, out of Indiana. And I love Hield's game. He's the guy I've been watching, throughout his NBA career, and he's just a guy that, true definition of throw him the ball, go get a bucket. He's great at coming off pick and rolls. He kind of has this little jump into his pull-up three game, which I absolutely love. He gets a really solid base. He's able to rise up and just get to his release point and knock down open shots at clearly a very high rate, and he does it at a high volume as well. So if the Bulls are going to add in a shooter, let me know what shooter you would want them to pick. Give me a BH for Buddy Hield or give me a double B for Bogdan Bogdanovic. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Now we're back on the Bulls, kind of trading away some guys. Obviously, the fourth move they can make will be trading away DeMar DeRozan. Now, I don't want the Bulls to trade away DeMar DeRozan. I hope the Bulls win games next year and they can, go and buy two of these guys in Bojan or Buddy Hield. But to say they do have to move away from a DeMar DeRozan, I think you have a lot of teams calling your phone for Mr. 11 from Chicago. And the one thing that always sticks out to me with DeMar is he's an underrated playmaker. Obviously we know he's an incredible mid-range assassin. He gets to his spot, just rises up over guys. So it doesn't really matter if he's got a hand in his face or not, but it's the playmaking. Ever since his days in San Antonio in that 2019 season, we really seen him take that next step. And especially in that 2020-21 season, averaged almost 7 assists a game for the Spurs that year. That's absolutely incredible. And then he came to Chicago that next year, averaged almost 28 a game, and had the Bulls at the number 1 seed in the East. I just think, as individual players, DeMar and LaVine are underrated. I just don't really think, they mesh too well together. So maybe another teams could be calling. And similar list I had here to the LaVine destinations that I threw up. I do think these big three, I think the Knicks, Mavericks, and Sixers are all teams to watch at next year's NBA trade deadline. More specifically, the Sixers and the Knicks. I just think those are two teams that have championship aspirations and want to take advantage of this window, and especially the Sixers. Why would you not want to take advantage of Joel Embiid in his prime, go get him another bucket getter next to him. And I think the Sixers could be an interesting option because you could still run that pick and roll and move kind of Maxey into that main guard spot, but then kind of have DeRozan as your tertiary scorer. Sixers are a team to watch out for, but then the Grizzlies as well. Maybe they want another veteran in that locker room. They seem like they were an immature team last year, and adding him next to a Bane and a Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, Marcus Smart, I just think the Grizzlies could be a team that, they could say, hey, DeMar DeRozan, you come here, you'll be a fourth quarter scorer for us. And I threw the Denver Nuggets on here, and a lot of people you might be saying, no way they would go and get DeMar DeRozan. There's somebody I think you should watch out for because I do think, the Nuggets GM, incredibly aggressive, been that way throughout his whole career in the NBA front office. Maybe they're a team that says, hey, we'll bring on DeMar for a 1-year expiring deal. Bring him to Denver, maybe ship off a Christian Brown or something. I don't think they would do this, but they're a team that I think could get sneakily aggressive and go for that back-to-back NBA titles. And then number 5 for me, it would just be trade away the whole big three. Let's just say we're at that trade deadline. And maybe the Bulls got shot with that injury bug, and they're just 5 games, 6 games below 500, and they just haven't played, bad next season. Could they trade away the whole big three? And I will say this. I only think they do this if they are bad, really, really, really bad. Even if the Bulls are 500 and, they're kind of not living up to expectations this past season, I don't think they would trade away, the whole big three. But let's just say, like I said, the injury bug kind of hits them and they're 5 games below 500 and they're 5 games off the play-in or something like that. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they just kind of sit up there and AKME, he says, let's just move off this roster. Clearly this big three isn't working, and they ship DeMar for a first. You ship LaVine for a couple firsts. Maybe you ship Vooch for maybe a late first and a pick or a player or something like that. But, just keep that in mind. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that the Bulls completely, clean house at next year's NBA trade deadline. But this was a fun video, guys, for me to make. The NBA season, we're in the dog days of the NBA world right now, but the season's just around the corner. So, guys, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Lock us in as your go-to Chicago Bulls YouTube channel. Anything that comes out around the team, I want to be your go-to guy, and I want to be your go-to channel. If you just want more Bulls content on your YouTube page, lock us in, hit that subscribe button. Hey, while you're down there, just give me a move that you think the Bulls can make at next year's NBA trade deadline. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.